Life, afterlife. What happens when you come back from the dead? And a very strange father-son relationship. Yeah, we're going to be talking about these subjects and more in my very first episode of the Fantastic Gigantic Story Time. And the story I'm about to tell you is a retelling of a classic story involving a very classic monster, one of my favorite classic monsters. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied there. But I have to admit, this guy has always been one of my favorite monsters. He's always been a badass, and I think that this book is worth reading out loud to you guys. So here it is, the story of Frankenstein. Now, shall we begin? Yes, we may. Aboard his ship, British explorer Captain Robert Walton is near the North Pole, hundreds of miles from land. He is writing to his sister. My dear Margaret, for many weeks now we've been trapped in ice, but recently, whilst waiting for the weather to change, so strange an accident happened that I feel bound to write it down. A few weeks ago, on a sledge drawn by dogs, I saw a man of gigantic stature speed across the snow. The following morning, another such sledge drifted towards us. This time, the traveler stopped. Before aboard! Can you kindly let me know where you're bound? Towards the North Pole. Once aboard, the man collapsed. Slowly he recovered and ate a little soup. But 2 days passed before he could speak. Why come so far? To seek he who fled from me. The man on the other sledge. But why? You have seen him. I can hardly believe it. Listen, and I will tell you my pitiful tale. Victor Frankenstein, for that is his name, told me that his early years were spent as an only child with his mother and father. His mother longed for a daughter, so when he was 5, they adopted an orphan, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was a sweet and sensitive child. Everyone loved her. Then his mother had another baby, Ernest, and they settled on the eastern shore of the lake at Bellerive, near Geneva. There, Victor and Elizabeth met Henry Clerval. As Victor grew, he yearned to find out about the world and spent much time reading at his father's library. Cornelius Agrippa. The man's a genius. His writings might help me raise ghosts, banish disease, even find the elixir of life. My dear Victor, do not waste your time in this old rubbish. Read modern science instead. That night, there was a most violent and terrible thunderstorm. What force of nature has caused this? Inspired by his new knowledge, Victor decided to study at a university. Before he left, however, Elizabeth fell ill with scarlet fever. Please, Mother, do not nurse me. You're sure to fall ill too. As Elizabeth recovered, Victor's mother fell ill. But without the strength of youth, she died. On her deathbed, she had but one request. My dear Victor, promise me that you'll marry Elizabeth. Once my studies are completed, Mother, I will fulfill your wish. After the tragedy, Victor went to study at the university in Ingolstadt. And now to follow my dream. There he visited the respected scientist, Professor Krimp. What have you studied? Agrippa, Magnus, Paracelsus. Goodness! Have you really spent your time reading such nonsense? Instead, Victor visited another scientist, Professor Waldman. I wish to explore the mystery of creation. The modern scientists have shown how our blood circulates and which gases make up the air we breathe. I would very much like to learn from you, Professor Waldman. I would be happy to take you as a pupil, Frankenstein. Over the next months, Victor worked hard learning about the human frame and its decay after death. Until one day, I can hardly believe it. Finally, I am capable of bringing something that is dead to life. He decided to construct a gigantic body from corpses and give it life. So night after night, Victor visited local vaults and charnel houses, collecting body parts from the dead. Winter, spring, and summer passed, and all the while Victor was totally absorbed in his quest. However, by autumn he was exhausted. I must push aside this illness until my creation is complete. One dark night, Victor took the final step. The creature's body jerked. His pale eyes opened as the gaseous fresh breath. It lived. At first, Victor had been ecstatic. His feelings of elation, however, soon turned to disgust. Full of horror at the sight of the creature, Victor rushed out of the laboratory, leaving his creation alone. He fled to his rooms where, exhausted by his efforts, he fell into a deep sleep. In the middle of the night, however, when Victor was only half awake, the creature sought him out. Leave me alone, wretch. I cannot bear to look at you. And for the second time that night, Victor ran away. All night long, Victor paced the streets. Then, at first light, a coach drew up. My dear Frankenstein, how glad I am to see you. Henry. I can hardly believe it. But back at his rooms, Victor broke down. Whatever is the matter, Victor? Do not ask me, Henry. Oh, save me. Save me. Henry stayed with Victor until the fever had passed. He then proposed they take a walking holiday in the countryside before returning home to Geneva. Isn't this wonderful? Dear Henry, thanks to you I feel so much better now. But just as they were about to leave, Victor received a letter. No. William dead. My dear, sweet youngest brother. Henry, he has been murdered. How can we relate our misfortune? Absence cannot have rendered you countless to our joys and griefs. And how shall I inflict pain on my long absent son? I will not try to console, but will simply relate the circumstances of the transaction. Last Thursday, the whole family went for a walk. Wait, William, it's your turn to hide. Catch me if you can. The letter went on to say that William and Ernest had been playing hide and seek, but when it was William's turn to hide, he had run off and not returned. As night fell, the adults searched for William, lighting torches as it grew dark. William! William! It was daybreak when they found him motionless on the grass. William had been strangled. No, it cannot be. When Victor's father told Elizabeth of William's fate, she was distraught. Forgive me. It is I who murdered our darling child. Elizabeth explained to me that before the walk, William had asked if he could wear a valuable pendant of Elizabeth's, one that contained a picture of his mother. She had allowed him to wear it and was in no doubt that the stealing of this must have been the motive of the murderer. So please come, dearest Victor. You alone can console Elizabeth, who weeps continually and accuses herself unjustly of William's death. Her words pierce my heart. Come, Victor, not with the brooding thoughts of vengeance, but with the feelings of gentleness and peace that will heal our wounded minds. Enter our house with kindness and affection for those who love you, not hatred for your enemy. Your affectionate and afflicted father, Alphonse Frankenstein. Victor set off immediately for a long trip back to Geneva. The journey was difficult, and as he neared the city, fear and grief overcame him. It was after dark when he took a boat across the lake home. As he rowed, a storm approached. Soon, fat drops of rain were falling all around. On the bank, a figure stood in the shadows. As a flash of lightning struck, the gigantic wretch came into view. What is he doing here? Can he be my brother's murderer? Victor spent the night wandering around outside. Until at about 5 in the morning, he entered his family home. Victor! Thank goodness you're here. Justine has confessed to being involved in William's murder. His nanny. But surely this is wrong, Ernest. She does seem very confused. Her trial is today. Father, surely you believe Justine is innocent. Don't worry, Victor. I'm sure she will be acquitted. The speech calmed Victor. He was sure the creature had killed William, but could not bring himself to tell the world about his creation. The following day the trial began. At first, Justine appeared calm, confident of her innocence. But as the trial continued, hatred and fear of the crime turned the jury against her. I cannot explain how I ended up with William's locket. All I can hope for is that my good character will prove I'm not guilty. Only Elizabeth dared to defend her. I am William's sister, and I know the accused well. She was very attached to my brother, and I believe she is innocent. But Elizabeth's appeal did nothing to ease Justine's case, and she was condemned to death. Even then, Victor couldn't speak up. Distraught, he rushed out of court. Later, Victor went with Elizabeth to visit Justine in her prison cell. I will prove your innocence. You shall not die. I do not fear to die. I leave a sad world. Farewell, sweet lady. Live and be happy, and make others so. And the following morning, Justine died. So I murdered 2 poor victims. If I had not created the monster, William and Justine would both be alive. It is I who should have died. After the trial, Victor lived in daily fear that the creature might commit further crimes. I feel nothing but hatred for the monster. Unable to shake off his despair, Victor spent hours wandering in the nearby valleys. As he walked, he started to feel better. Until... Who is this? No. It can't be. The wretch is following me.
Do what I say and I'll leave you alone. Refuse, and I will kill the rest of your friends.
Devil! Go away or we'll kill you. But the creature did not go.
I will not fight you. Only you can make me happy. Listen to my tale so that you might understand what it's like to be me.
For the first time, Victor felt compassion for the creature, so agreed to listen to his tale. The creature explained how he was forced to learn about life for himself. No one taught him what day and night were, that he should eat and drink, or where he might find food. Once, finding an abandoned fire, he put his hands in the embers, thinking they would keep him warm. Roar! Another time he longed for shelter, so, coming across a shepherd's hut, he entered.
Stay away from me, you monster!
Walking late one afternoon, the creature arrived at a village full of pretty cottages. He saw vegetables grown in the gardens, and milk and cheese placed in the windows. Feeling hungry, the creature entered one of the homes. It was not long, however, before the men of the village gathered to chase him away. Take this! Go away, you ugly beast! Leave us in peace, you're not welcome here! Feeling lonely and dejected, the creature escaped and, spotting a hovel near a cottage, decided to rest there for a while. Although the hovel was made of wood and the floor bare earth, it was at least dry. The creature was happy to have found shelter from the rain and snow and from the cruelty of humans. Through a crevice, the creature could look into the cottage without being seen. You're playing well tonight, Father. Will you teach me that one later? It will be my pleasure, Felix. Not long to wait now, Father. The creature watched the kind way in which the young man and girl treated their blind father. This made him happy. The family were poor and worked hard to survive. The That should keep us going, Agatha. We'll need a fresh load tomorrow, though. The creature tried to find ways to help the family. Sometimes, at night, he prepared wood for their fire. Look, Felix. Somebody's chopped wood for us. And over time,
Fire.
by listening to the family talk,
Milk.
the creature learned how to speak some basic
Water.
words. The creature came to love the family and wished he could reveal himself to them. One day, however, looking into a pool of water, the creature was horrified to see a monster staring back. He felt deeply unhappy, knowing that humans could never accept him as a friend. One day, a lady on horseback arrived at the cottage. The lady had black hair, dark eyes, and a fair complexion. The creature could see that Felix and the lady were very much in love. Oh, Safi, my love, I can't believe you're here. My father's cruelty brought me to you. More than ever, the creature wanted human company for himself. Finding a notebook and the coat he took from Victor's home, the creature taught himself to read. But the notebook contained a detailed description of his own creation.
Why did Frankenstein make me so hideous? It was a heartless act.
So, one day, when the youngsters were out, come in, warm yourself by the fire. Who are you?
I'm a traveler in need of rest. I have no friends or relations to turn to.
Do not despair. The hearts of men are full of love. We shall not turn you away. But when the youngsters returned, Father, you are in danger. Leave him alone, you beast.
Please, listen to me.
Felix tore the creature from his father's side and beat him with a stick. Out, foul creature! Leave us be!
My misery is mine.
From now on, I will wage war against these cruel beings. None more so than my creator, Victor Frankenstein. Overcome with bitterness, the creature left the cottage and escaped to his hovel. The following day, the terrified family left. Seized with fury, the creature stacked straw and sticks around the cottage. As night fell, he lit the straw. And watched as the cottage burst into flames. The creature, resolved to find Victor and seek justice from him, set off for Geneva. During the journey,
Yo!
the young girl screamed. What danger is she in?
Hold on to my arm. I will save you.
Thank you, sir. The creature dragged the poor girl to the safety of the shore and tried to revive her, but suddenly she was pulled away. Run for your life, you brute! I am shot! So, this is how I'm repaid for my kindness. Oh, hateful humankind. I will avenge you all. For weeks, the creature hid in the woods and nursed his painful wound. But all the while his need for revenge grew. Once healed, the creature continued his journey until he reached the vicinity of the Frankenstein family home.
What a beautiful boy. Surely he cannot yet have developed a horror of deformity. I will try to speak to him.
Hideous monster. Let me go. My father is Mr. Frankenstein.
So, you belong to the enemy. You shall be my first victim, then.
The creature grasped the child's throat and strangled him. He felt exhilarated.
I too can create misery.
When the creature saw something glittering on the boy's neck, he grabbed it. It was a locket, holding a picture of Victor's mother. For a moment, the creature's heart was softened. Then he remembered that no woman could ever love him. Leaving the murder scene, the creature came across a barn. There, he found a young woman asleep. Still full of rage, he placed the locket on her dress. His tale told, the creature made his request.
Make me a wife as horrible as myself. I beg you, do not refuse me this.
I cannot.
If you do not agree, I will create in you a fear that will make you curse the hour of your birth. If you do, neither you nor any other human will see us again.
There is some justice in his request. And so Victor agreed to his request. On hearing this, the creature left, promising to return only when Victor had made his wife. Victor decided to travel to England to complete his task, and so he told his family of his plans to leave. I must finish with the monster first. I had hoped you might marry Elizabeth before you left. I love Elizabeth, Father, but ask that the marriage does not take place until we return. I have asked your dear friend Henry Clerval to accompany you, Victor. How now shall I complete my task? Victor and Henry arrived in London the following month. What a city! The heart of trade and commerce. And home to the philosopher who can help me with my despicable chore. And while Henry carried out his business, Victor secretly collected everything he needed for his new creation. After a few months, the pair traveled through England to Scotland. Here, Victor told Henry that he wished to complete the tour alone. Once repaired, the stone building will be my laboratory and my home. What a sick and filthy process this is. How I long for it to end. I can barely look at her. For weeks, Victor worked on his female creation. One night, when the creature was almost ready, Victor saw someone at the window. It was the monster, come, at last, to claim his companion. What have I been thinking of? If we live a monster, I can be other than this. She must not live. Unable to continue with his work, Victor destroyed it in front of the creature, who howled before running off into the night. But later, he returned.
Do you dare break your promise? I do break my promise. I will never create another creature like yourself. Remember, I can make your life wretched. Your threat does nothing to persuade me to perform this act of wickedness. Very well. But remember, I will be with you on your wedding night.
Shudder to think what horrors my wedding might bring. But at least then I might be put out of my misery. The following night, Victor took a weighted basket containing the remains of the female monster and threw it into the sea. The storm approached, and waves crashed about the little boat. The wind was high and blew him far out to sea. After many hours, the wind dropped and the waters calmed. Thank goodness, land at last. But as soon as Victor set foot on land, he was seized by two local men. What do you want with me? To give an account of the death of the gentleman who was murdered here last night. In the company of the magistrate, Victor was taken to see the corpse. The lifeless form of Henry Clerval was stretched out before him. Dear Henry, I'm guilty of your death too. Victor was arrested, and he spent several weeks in a prison cell. I have caused such destruction. What is to become of me? Until one day, Victor's father arrived. The magistrate, believing Victor to be innocent, had thrown the case out of court. Victor, what an ordeal. I've come to take you home now. Victor and his father began their long journey home. On reaching Paris, Victor received a letter from Elizabeth, who was desperately worried that Victor had forgotten her. The letter reminded Victor of the creature's words, "I will be with you on your wedding night." Dismiss your fears, dearest girl. You will know my only secret once we are married. It will chill your heart, and you will wonder how I have survived so long. A week later, Victor and his father returned to Geneva, where a few days later, Victor and Elizabeth were married.
I will be with you on your wedding night.
I do. The couple planned to spend their honeymoon in a hotel in the Alps. Fearful of the creature's threat, Victor carried pistols and a dagger in case of attack. Stay in the room, Elizabeth. I'll be back soon. Before settling down for the night, Victor searched the hotel. Suddenly, Victor heard a scream. Yo! Elizabeth! He rushed back to their room, but it was too late. No, it cannot be. As Elizabeth lay lifeless on the bed, Victor saw someone at the window. It was the creature pointing at the corpse, on his face a ghoulish grin. Foul creature, you must die! But Victor missed, and the creature escaped. If the creature is determined to destroy my family, who will be next? My father? earnest? Victor hurried back to Geneva to protect them. But when Victor arrived, his father, shocked by the news of Elizabeth's death, was dying. His eyes have lost all their charm and vitality. Victor, a broken man, spent his time wandering the streets. One night he made a vow at his father's and Elizabeth's graves. I will pursue the monster until either he or I dies. I call on you, O spirits of the night, to let the cursed monster feel the despair that torments me now. He is here. The quiz can begin. For many months, Victor followed the creature across much of Europe, using clues that might help him in his pursuit. Occasionally, the creature would leave some mark. But Victor never caught up. The journey took him northwards, towards the snow and ice. There he is. But so far off. I can hardly believe it. Hope, at last. Which is how he ended up aboard this ship, telling his tale. But, made ill by his relentless pursuit, Victor was dying. Swear to me, Walton, that when I die, you will kill him for me? The following night, I heard noises coming from the cabin in which Walton's body lay.
Do you think he would have pardoned me? It was my despair that taught me to be evil. For me, evil was good.
Your repentance is pointless now.
Soon, these burning miseries will be extinct. I will construct a funeral pyre and end my misery in this world. My ashes will be swept into the sea, and my spirit will sleep in peace. Farewell. I shall never kill again. Only myself.
And with those words, the creature left, borne away in an ice craft by the waves, and lost forever in darkness and distance. Classic. That was fun. But until next time.